member of the committee, just mentioned to me moments ago that this is, he said there's no, in his words, it's hard to find a more explicit statement of consciousness of guilt than looking for a pardon for actions you've just taken. Neither him nor Benny Thompson would tell me how many members of the Republican conference asked for pardons, or if they were members of the Republican leadership. Benny Thompson did indicate to me that there is, quote, documentation that they have, that the committee has, of these Republicans seeking pardon. So those are all the issues that are bound to come out in the hearings ahead, Anderson. But at the moment, Republicans are criticizing the committee, not getting into the details much of what happened here, other than arguing that more information should come out, more of the depositions could come out, and Thompson indicating also, Anderson, though, that eventually all those transcripts from all the people who testified before the committee will be released.
Yeah, Mano, thanks very much. A lot of the narrative that you heard tonight is based on what Trump's own staff told the committee. Caitlin Collins is joining us now. Caitlin, what are you learning about how some of those Trump allies are going to try and explain that in the coming days?
Yeah, Anderson, so much of what you heard was not just from his own staff, but also his allies, even his own relatives, as you heard clips of Jared Kushner's testimony, Ivanka Trump's testimony, and obviously that raises the natural question of how is the former president going to respond to seeing that actual testimony being used to create this and really paint this picture of what happened that day. And I'm told, Anderson, that in the coming days, if former President Trump is upset by some of what his own allies or former staff or even relatives said, that you can expect them to say that they were taken out of context by the committee. Now, I should note that a lot of them went into these testimonies, these meetings with the committee staff, knowing that they were being recorded, knowing that it was likely being transcribed, and even potentially knowing that it could be used in these hearings. But I'm told that several of them plan to use something that was really a tried and true defense during Trump's time in office, which is claiming that they're being taken out of context. That was something that Trump reporters will know that was something cabinet secretaries often used when they went up on the Hill, and something they testified about that Trump did not like it. And so I am told we can expect to hear that in the coming days by them if former President Trump is upset by it. And you can imagine several of the things that could potentially be used for that. Ivanka Trump saying she believed Attorney General Barr when he told her there was no fraud in the hearing, or the campaign attorney who said Mark Meadows told him, there's no there when he was laying out that they couldn't find any evidence of fraud. So expect that in the coming days from Trump world, potentially, Anderson.
All right, Caitlin Collins, appreciate it. Joining me here in Washington, Bob Woodward, Carl Bernstein. Was there anything really new tonight? I mean, for minds that are already made up, was there anything new that would convince people to look at this in a new light?
Oh, yes. I think what happened tonight was historic. I think it is a brilliant, truly brilliant presentation by Benny Thompson and by Liz Cheney. Listen to the detail, and they have it. They have it cold, as best I can tell. And from my own reporting, I just wanted to throw one thing that Bob Costa and I found out when we did our book, Peril. And this is a real serious evaluation done by Gina Haspel, who was the CIA director. This is a controversial CIA director. Maybe it's impossible to be a CIA director and not be controversial, but tough, was a case officer, spent years and years evaluating leaders and their stability and who they were. And this is what she said a week after the election that Trump lost, when he fired Mark Esper, the defense secretary. Quote, "Yesterday was appalling. We are on the way to a right-wing coup. The whole thing is insanity. He, Trump, is acting like a 6-year-old with a tantrum." I think that's what we saw tonight. And I also think that this committee has done kind of the equivalent of what happened in the famous Army McCarthy hearing, when Joe McCarthy was accused by a lawyer in a very memorable way, saying, do you have no shame?
Yeah.
And this committee has essentially said to Donald Trump, do you have no shame?
Carl?
First of all, we have a picture now of the audacity of a criminal, conspiratorial president of the United States, not just sedition, but a coup that he attempted in which he tried to take over the vice presidency, the Department of Justice, the Attorney General, the state's attorneys general. This was a coup in this country. We've never even seen an attempt at anything like this. And this is a moment of truth for the Republican Party. There have been few like it. There certainly has been 68 years ago, Joe McCarthy, Nixon. This is the next real test of what the Republican Party is. And Liz Cheney said, there will come a time when Donald Trump is gone, but your dishonor will remain. There is a chance, and look, the Republican Party is certainly not going to listen to me. But
You got that right.
But really, Bob's asked the right question here. Have you no shame? To go along with this president, let's look at what those around him did and say privately. Let's look at Betsy DeVos, the Secretary of Education, saying, let's invoke the 25th Amendment. Why would she be saying that? Why would she be trying to do this? Because she believed, as did other cabinet officers, that a president of the United States had gone off the rails criminally and mentally. What did the Secretary of Defense, what did General Milley try to do? They tried to take away the nuclear commands of this president while this was going on.
But gentlemen, you're describing a Republican Party that doesn't exist.
Absolutely.
I mean, we're talking about Donald Trump, who in all the polls is leading any other possible potential Republican for the 2024 nomination. We're talking about a Republican Party in which, with some exceptions, that you have Republicans seeking office in 2022 who are begging, fighting for his favor. In Pennsylvania, you had Mehmet Oz, who got his endorsement, and David McCormick, who lost by 900 votes today, who's begging for his endorsement and saying, I'm more MAGA than the other guy is.
Oh, no, wait a minute. One of the things Benny Thompson said, and I think this was important, is the problem here went beyond January 6th. It didn't stop there at all.
We know that.
And one of the very important things that happened here is that the day, it was January 8th, 2 days after, the head of the Chinese military called General Milley, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, and said, is America coming apart at the seams, having seen the video and what happened on January 6th? And Milley said to him, well, sometimes things look unsteady, but that's the nature of democracy. What's on trial here is what's the nature of democracy, not the Republican Party or the Democratic Party. And the nature, my view as a reporter of democracy, was answered tonight in a very compelling way.
Just ahead, will these new hearings prompt the Justice Department to issue new charges? We'll discuss that. We'll be joined by the filmmaker who testified tonight about seeing the crowd at the Capitol turn from protesters to insurrection.
We try to be global and we try to be smart. And we try very hard to get both of those every week. But I want to hear our authentic voices of people who are passionate or intelligent about a subject, who will make you smarter, move you emotionally, who will kind of challenge your mind or move your heart. And that's the consistency that we try to get at.
Fareed Zakaria, GPS, Sundays on CNN.
I always believe in karma. I believe that doing the right thing will always end up to making us even more money. Our goal is to shape a better and more sustainable food future by investing in early stage transformative technology startups to address the challenges that the food supply chain that we're facing. So we have been backing alternative protein solutions in many different forms, from the cell culture meat, fermentation-based protein, plant-based meat, plant-based dairy. First, you need to make those meatless food really tasty. And second layer is it also needs to taste like meat. So we largely look at precision agriculture. We're looking at